Are you ready to dive into the heart of music business? Introducing the Rhythms and Rights podcast brought to you by SAMRO.
And ask me, what is SAMRO? I want to go register my music there. If I like, will I be whatever? And I never know what SAMRO is. SAMRO is like God, like it's a mystery. How does it work? How does SAMRO work, please? Explain it to me.
Join us as we unravel the complexities of music rights management, share inspiring industry stories, and provide valuable insights for composers, authors, and publishers. Each episode offers an informative session on everything you need to know about SAMRO and the music industry. Stay tuned for Rhythms and Rights, your backstage pass to the music business, only from SAMRO.
Hello and welcome to the Rhythms and Rights podcast with SAMRO. My name is Nandi, your host, and this is another episode that will be giving you more information about publishers. Today, I'm sitting with the manager of publisher services, Eugene Goulouw. How are you doing today, Eugene?
Thank you, Nandi. I'm doing well, and thank you and welcome, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
Absolutely. Let's dive into the intricacies of publishing. I'm going to start with asking you just general questions. So what is the primary role that SAMRO plays in the music industry?
Okay, so SAMRO's primary function is to collect and administer royalties on behalf of composers, authors, and music publishers. And what SAMRO administers is what we call the performing right. There are a number of rights within copyright, and the one that we are looking at is actually called performing right. And that performing right itself consists of about three pieces. Or three parts rather. So the one part is when you're doing a live performance, that's part of a performing right. The second part is if your work is broadcast, be it on radio or TV or any form of broadcast, that's also a performing right. And then the third part is basically if your work is transmitted via a diffusion service. So meaning your music is transmitted via two wires.
Right.
So that would be a performing right. So if they play your music in the stadium, for example, during like a halftime break.
Yes.
That's via two wires. So that would be, we would call it a diffusion service, which would be a performing right.
Absolutely. That's great. So how does SAMRO differ from a traditional music publisher?
Yeah. So SAMRO is a collecting society.
Yes.
Or we call it a CMO, Collective Management Organization. It is not a publishing company. A lot of the times SAMRO get confused with publishers where people would come to us and tell us, can SAMRO publish my work? SAMRO is not a publisher, we are a collective management organization. We essentially look after one right, which is the performing rights. A publisher, on the other hand, will look after many other rights that SAMRO doesn't administer. A publisher also, on the other hand, will do certain things that SAMRO will not do for you, such as placing your work in adverts, etc., etc. So a publisher will do a little bit more than SAMRO, but because our primary function is just the performing rights, where a publisher will look after far more rights.
Right. Now that's very informative. So I do need a separate publisher if I am an artist.
Correct. So you do need a publisher if you are an artist. You can also do it alone. You understand?
Right.
You can do the self-publishing route. It's going to require a lot of work. It's going to require a lot of time and resources, but it is possible for you to also go that route.
Okay. So what kind of royalties does SAMRO collect and distribute?
So SAMRO collects performing rights, and these are the types of rights that we distribute. So any public establishment that is playing music, be it restaurants, broadcasters, earlier on we were talking about flights.
Yes.
So even your in-flight music, like basically anything that you can think of, or any place that plays music in public, okay, that place will attract SAMRO's attention. We will license that establishment,
Yes.
and then pay this license fees over to our composer authors in the form of a royalty payment.
Absolutely nice. Now let's move into membership and registration. So what are the steps that I need to take to register as a publisher at SAMRO?
Okay. So the first thing that you will need to do as a publisher is you need to register with the CIPC.
Right.
That's the Commission for Intellectual Property. Okay. Intellectual Property Commissions. You would obviously need to pay the CIPC fee and then get your company registered, and they will issue with CIPC documents to show that this entity is an entity and it's in business. Once you have those documents ready, then you can come in and register with SAMRO. You can use our online platform. However, the documents that we're going to need for a publisher registration at SAMRO is, number one, we're going to need all the certified ID copies of all the directors, if there's more than one director. Number two, we're going to need at least one agreement, composer-publisher agreement. Because if you're a publisher, you need to publish someone.
Yes.
You understand? You need to publish a composer member.
Yes.
Because otherwise, then you're not really a publisher if there's no composer under you. So we're going to need to see a copy of that agreement between you and your composer member.
Right.
So you're going to have to attach that. And then you're going to have to attach your CIPC documents to show that your company is in business. And then the rest of the details you can just supply us with on our online application.
Awesome. That was my next question, actually. But now let me move to, is there a fee for registering as a publisher at SAMRO, and how much is it?
Yes, we charge a fee of 500 Rand. Okay, so obviously it's an administration fee. It's also to cover certain administrative costs that goes with the application itself.
Absolutely. So what are the benefits of becoming a SAMRO member for a publisher?
So I will start with the benefits for a composer first,
Okay.
and then I'll also branch out to a publisher.
Okay.
Because sometimes you'll find that publishers will also come to us and tell us that you have a lot of benefits for the composers but nothing for us. But not knowing that those very same composers that's under your publishing catalog, they're also benefiting, you understand? Because, for example, if you look at a funeral benefit,
Yes.
so we have funeral benefits for composer members. So we are also helping a publisher in a way, you know, like, because if that publisher's writer dies, then SAMRO is able to assist in the form of a funeral benefit.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the composer members also have your SAMRO retirement annuity benefit. Okay, now when it comes to publishers, so part of the benefits that we have for publishers, we've recently launched a bursary program with the Music Business Lab, okay, where we actually take on about approximately 30 publishers.
Right.
And we give them a bursary to go and study, so that they can be fully fledged publishers. That's the whole goal, so that they actually understand what publishing involves, and we equip them with skills and knowledge. We're obviously planning to extend that in the next financial year, so this year still, to obviously give 50 more people, so we can send 50 more people on the next round to go and study publishing.
That's awesome.
Yes. Part of the benefits also is, remember, in cases of copyright infringement,
Yeah.
for example, SAMRO would be standing with you as a publisher. You will not be alone in this particular copyright infringement case. In terms of advocacy, we go and we lobby on behalf of our composer members and publisher members. So certain legislations or whatever, if we find certain clauses in our law very problematic or whatsoever, we go and advocate for our members. You understand?
Absolutely.
In terms of repertoire, when you register your work with SAMRO, your work is not only registered with SAMRO because we are connected to other CMOs across the world. You understand? So we are able to make sure that your work is out there also across the world. We provide you with a number, an identifier called an ISWC. It's an international standard work code, which publishers need, by the way, when they do register and when they want to track their works. So the one code is issued by another organization called RISA,
Yes.
which is an ISRC code,
Yes.
which is an international standard recording code. And then there's an ISWC that you need from a CMO, and a CMO like SAMRO would give you that code, the international standard work code. So there's a lot of things that we do for publishers, like there's a lot of administration that we do on behalf of publishers. There's collections that we do for them. There's not only collections for the publisher themselves, but it's also for the publishers' composers. It's also for the affiliated publishers, because publishers also have deals amongst themselves.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's local publishers that have dealings, local and local. There's also the international catalogs that we look after as well, because publishers also have deals with other publishers overseas, which we call sub-publishing deals. So all of those things SAMRO would take care of.
Right, which you would not be able to
Which
do
you would not be able to
if you
do
were doing
if you
by
were doing it by
themselves.
yourself.
Right. So now let's talk about a very interesting topic for our members, which is royalties and payments.
Yes.
I'm sure we always get calls about that. So how does SAMRO track and collect royalties on behalf of its members?
Yes, so that's a very interesting thing, because as a member, whether you're a composer or publisher member, if your music had to play on radio, it would be a difficult exercise for you to go from radio station to radio station, or TV station to TV station, or restaurant to restaurant to go and collect your royalties. You know, like especially if you are running a publishing alone, or you're a composer member alone. So with SAMRO, we are able to do this because we're doing it as a collective.
Yes.
You understand? So we have people out there that would go and license establishments that play music, and part of the licensing agreement would be for them to supply us with what we call playlist or radio returns, or whatever we call it, but it's basically reports.
Cue sheets as well.
And all of it. So it's all the reporting of the music that they played. So we are able to then use that particular information and use the license fee that we receive from the establishment, and you know so we have the usage information and the license fee, and we are able to then to distribute it to our members.
Awesome.
Which obviously by the time when the member receives it, it is now called a royalty payment. You understand? So it's we've been doing this for more than 60 years.
Imagine.
We have the experience. We also have the good quality people on the ground that would go in there, go out there and license venues every day. So yes, as a collective, we are able to do that. But as an individual or as one publisher, it becomes very difficult for you to go and collect royalties from all these establishments and venues and broadcasters.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So how often are royalties paid out to SAMRO members?
So we have a distribution schedule on our
Right.
website
Right.
where members can actually check when they're going to be receiving royalties and for which distribution. So the main distributions that I can list that members always expect royalties from is the radio distribution and the TV distribution. And then in addition to that, we have a film distribution, we have a foreign distribution, we also have a post distribution in case we missed anything in our primaries, then we pay it out in the post supplementary distribution. And the big new thing now these days is digital.
Yes.
Okay. So for digital, we have about 4 digital distributions, which we call an MIT, mobile and internet transmission distribution. But all in all, if you ever look at our schedule, we have approximately about 24 distributions a year. So that makes it about 2 every month. But we also have, in between, we have unscheduled distributions where we would schedule a distribution in that's not on the schedule. So I think in our last financial year, we scheduled about 3 distributions in, 3 or 4 distributions, and we had a total of approximately 27 distributions
Well, that's quite a
for
lot.
the year. So that is 2 point something, 2.3, 2 point somewhere there, like if my maths is correct. But overall, you can say 2 or more distributions a month. So it's quite a lot of distributions that we have. So it's almost every second week, if you think about it, we are distributing.
That's actually good value to our members.
Yeah.
That's why our distribution has increased, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So what type of royalties can a publisher expect to receive from SAMRO?
So publishers, so normally they work out all over.
Yeah.
You understand? So because the publisher's job is to go and commercially exploit the work. They would want the public to use their work so
Right.
that they can go and license and get money from it. Because when you create a musical work, you're not creating it for you to go and play it in private and play it for family members. You actually want the public to go and listen to it. So publishers will make sure that their music are all over, like be it on digital platforms, be it overseas, be it on radio stations, be it, like SAA in-flight music, or like everywhere that you can think of. So when it comes back to royalty payments, almost all the distributions that you see on our distribution schedule, publishers might participate in those, like almost all of
Right.
them. You understand? With the exception of probably the foreign distribution, because with the foreign distribution, most publishers have sub-publishing agreements with other publishers overseas. So those publishers overseas will collect for them in those territories and pay it over to them. But we do have publishers that do not have sub-publishing agreements with other publishers overseas. So those publishers with a foreign distribution, we will pay those money over to them directly
Awesome.
when we collect it.
That's great. Let's now move into what you talked about earlier on, which is self-publishing, which I think most members are not aware of. So it will be like self-publishing versus the traditional publishing. What are the pros and cons of self-publishing versus using the traditional publisher?
Yeah, so with self-publishing and traditional publishing, so I always like to make an example of, like when you finish matric, there's a question that you always need to answer yourself is, do I need a bursary or not? You understand? And I think most of us have probably gone through that where you ask yourself, do I really need a bursary or don't I need it? And for most of us that are from disadvantaged backgrounds, you would go with the bursary option.
Yes.
You understand? Because you might not necessarily have money to pay for your fees, etc., etc. But then that bursary option will also come with disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages would be that you will need to work for that particular company for a certain period. And maybe they might not pay you the salary that you were supposed to get because you were on the bursary. You understand? So there is some disadvantages and stuff. It is no different with publishing and self-publishing. Understand? So with self-publishing, it's if you use that bursary model that I just explained, it means if I'm going to go and study on my own without a bursary, I need to have the funding in my pocket.
Right.
To be able to pay for that particular bursary program and to be able to pay for staying on campus or res. Okay? So meaning I need to have, big bank accounts or big pockets basically, or my parents will have to have big pockets. You understand? So if you're going to be a self-publisher, chances is you're probably going to need a whole lot of money to get you started and to get you off the ground, because you're going to have to pay for certain things out of your pocket, studio time, all sorts of things, whereas if you go with a publisher, okay, a publisher here now is the bursary model type of thing. The publisher will have the funding that you need, okay. They will also have the guidance in most cases, because what they'll do is they can also pair you with other writers that's already signed to their label, so it makes it easy for you to do a collaboration, etc., etc. They might have the platforms, they can get your music out there in other territories very easily, quicker than you can. They can place your music in radio stations probably quicker than you can, you understand, because now if you're doing it on your own, it will mean that you will have to go and knock on the doors of radio stations and TV stations. So yeah, in terms of resources and opportunities and capacities, publishers probably have it. Like it would probably be a good idea to go with a publisher, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible for you to do it on your own.
Yes.
You can do it on your own, but just know that you're going to have to invest a lot of time and money in it, and most of the administrative part you're going to have to do yourself.
Right.
So it might impact on the creative part.
Yes,
You understand?
yes,
Because you're going to
yes.
find yourself drawing up lots of contracts, even when you have to do infringement cases and stuff like that, you're going to have to do it yourself. You understand? Whereas when you're with a publisher, you'll have a publisher that will stand with you, etc., etc. But the pros and cons of both is when you're doing it yourself, you become 100% owner
Yes.
of the work, which is what most composers desire. You understand? If you go with a publisher will not do it for free.
Yes.
You understand?
Definitely.
So they will obviously recoup whatever advances they've given you, and they will become the owner of the work. So you'll become the author, but ownership will most likely vest in the publisher.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's very important information. So how can SAMRO assist self-publishers in managing their music rights and royalties?
Yes. So SAMRO, part of the Music Lab business program that we've undertaken is actually also to assist people to become independent in
Yes.
self-publishing. We decided that we're going to send about 30 publishers out there to go and study, so that these ones can also become self-publishers, and then hopefully they can also come back one day and tell us their success stories.
Thank you.
Understand? And we obviously hope for this program to continue. Hence, in the next financial year, we are planning to send 50 more people, and we're hoping for this program to grow.
And we're hoping that these ones who are the cohort that's doing this will be able to help other members as well.
Correct.
With the information that they
Correct.
have.
We hope that they paid forward.
Information sharing.
Thanks,
Yes.
eh?
Definitely. Let's move on to another interesting topic, which is legal and administrative support. So does SAMRO provide any legal support or advice for its members regarding publishing contracts?
Yeah, so that's a difficult one for SAMRO, because a lot of times people come to SAMRO and they say, but SAMRO, we want you to help us with legal advice for our contracts, etc., etc. It is important to note, for people to note, that SAMRO doesn't just administer composers and authors. We also administer publishers.
Publishers, yes.
You understand? So it also puts us sort of like in a difficult position.
Absolutely.
For us to go and offer legal advice on contracts to adjudicate and say, no, don't sign this contract because of this clause or that clause. Because the very same publisher that you are signing with is also a member of SAMRO, you understand? So we also have to respect that and remain neutral, okay? We however, always advocate for our members, when as soon as they enter into a contract, that they should get someone to go and read that contract for them and explain the terms of the contract. Even the very same publisher that they are signing with, the publisher should be in a position to explain the terms of the contract, and you know, maybe explain it in a language that they understand, a simple language, or maybe in that person's home language, to make it easier for that person to understand, so that years down the line the person mustn't come back and say, no, I signed this contract but I didn't understand what I was signing. You understand? Because a contract is, after all, a legally binding document. You understand? So if someone comes with a contract to SAMRO, we also have to abide by the terms and conditions of that particular contract. You understand? So yes, I want to reiterate to members once again, please make sure you understand the terms and conditions of the contracts that you are signing or are about to sign. Don't just go and sign it and then years later go and fight and say, I didn't understand what I was signing.
Absolutely. Okay. That's very, very important, because I'm sure you deal with a lot of those.
Yes. We get a lot of those. And unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier on, we can't sort of like play the referee, because we both composer, authors, members and publishers are our members.
Absolutely. So how does SAMRO handle copyright infringement cases on behalf of its members?
Okay, so with copyright infringement cases, so basically what SAMRO would do is, if we get a dispute, like somebody comes and they notify something that's contrary to what we have on records, we will then go out and inform the parties to say that, listen, we received a conflicting notification. Do you have any objections to this? Is this the correct one? Yes or no? If the parties come in and they're obviously disputing the new notification that came in, then what SAMRO would do is we would offer some kind of mediation. So mediation is an informal meeting that we'll have with the members to say that, members, listen, we received this notification and we now received this notification. So let's suppose maybe the second notification comes in and the argument would be that, no, this one was not supposed to get 20%. This one was only whistling on the song. Why is he getting so much? Why? Then we sort of like give the members a platform for them to iron it out amongst themselves.
Right.
In most cases, we found that mediation actually works, because members would come to an agreement there and there in that meeting and say, okay, no, listen, okay, we agree, this person must get so much and this person must get so much. And then we'll obviously draft something for all the parties to sign. And then that would be the new split going forward. However, if that doesn't work, then we have to send it for arbitration. And with arbitration, we will now have to get somebody from outside, like a neutral person. And this person would normally be a judge or a retired judge.
Right.
Okay. So this person doesn't work for SAMRO, and this person is totally independent. And then this person will give a ruling on that particular matter. So the person will obviously ask all the parties to submit whatever documents, you understand, to support their claims or their cases. And the ruling that this person will give, or this judge, will be equivalent to a ruling that, like a judge in a court of law would give, because it's an actual judge that will give that ruling.
Okay.
And then we will have to abide by that ruling and enforce that particular ruling.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's great, because we don't want people mooring each other.
Yeah. We don't want people to fight. We also want to be seen to be impartial.
Yes.
We don't want to be biased as well.
Yes.
You understand? Because all these members are, like the one that's the plaintiff or the respondent or whatever you want to call them,
They're both
our
still
members, you understand? So we have to
Absolutely.
balance the interests of all the parties.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're almost coming to the end of our chat. It's been very informative and fun. I just want to ask about additional services that SAMRO does give. So does SAMRO offer any educational programs or workshops for composers and publishers? I know you've mentioned the Music Business Lab, which we just launched.
Yeah.
Is there anything else maybe?
Yeah, so we do offer workshops.
Yes.
So from time to time, we get invited to workshops. So there are instances where we do set up a workshop, like at our offices. I remember one that we had last year in particular, where we had a workshop where we were training people on publishing here at our offices. But when it's outside our offices, we normally encourage people to invite us, because people would normally set up workshops.
Yes.
And then they would invite not only SAMRO but other CMOs, and we try to honor all those invites so that we can attend those and educate people. There's a lot of other programs that SAMRO offers in terms of Concerts SA. We've partnered with a lot of parties where if people do live performances and stuff like that, Concerts SA is a model that they can approach Concerts SA for funding. If they're doing concerts.
Yes.
If they want to study music business education, we also have those programs as part of our CSI.
Yes.
Okay, so they can approach us for bursaries on music business education. And there are a number of things that we do offer. I challenge everyone just to go and check out our CSI page.
Yes.
On our website, and just have a look at all the programs that we offer members.
Awesome.
Okay.
So for our last question, how can SAMRO members stay updated on the changes in the music industry, especially the publishing side of the music?
Follow us on Twitter. There's very important announcements that we make on Twitter, and that obviously to keep you updated. Our Twitter handle is at SAMRO Music. We are also on Facebook. And we are just basically follow us, and we will post updates. So stay in touch with us, and we'll let you know what's coming up.
Absolutely. Okay. We hope that these questions and this information can help our members to understand the business of the music and also more about the publishing. Thank you so much for your time and for sitting with us.
Thanks a lot, Nandi.
All right. Thank you so much to our viewers for joining us today. We hope that you have learnt a lot, and the information that you've gained here, you will be able to use going forward. We'll see you on the next episode of the Rhythms and Rights podcast with SAMRO.
This is Lyric. He's just decided to become a musician. Congratulations, Lyric. Prepare for a life of parties, fans, fast cars, sexy people, and VIP passes. Hold up. Not so fast. Before you can get there, there's a little matter of SAMRO membership. SAMRO is the organization that represents composers, authors, and publishers of music. We get it. It's boring. But this is important, Lyric. Even if you're the type who doesn't like all this business stuff, it's important for you to understand why and how to become a SAMRO member. After all, SAMRO looks after your performing rights as a musician. Performing rights kick in every time a song you have composed is broadcast on the radio, in the mall, even that song when they put you on hold. This one.
We know your time is valuable. Thank you for holding.
Yup, even that one. Anyway, we're the ones who collect money for your performing rights every time the music you've composed is used. So, if you like things like food, electricity, you should probably think about applying to become a member. I know, boring, right? Okay, so to become a member, the first thing you need to do is do a little dance. Just kidding. I'm sure you're a great dancer, but what we really need you to do is visit SAMRO or the SAMRO website and complete the 3 required forms: membership application, notification of works, and deed of assignment. Fill these out and submit them to us. If you're a minor, you'll need to get your parent or guardian to sign on your behalf. You need to include a copy of you or your parent's ID. If you're not an SA citizen, a copy of your passport will do. That's not a passport. That's a goat in a party hat. Just making sure you're paying attention. Part of the application is something called a notification of works. This is all the information about each song, stuff like who played a part in creating it, and where applicable, publishing it, the composers who wrote the music, the authors who wrote lyrics, the publisher that published the song, that kind of thing. You don't have to give us a copy of each song. The information you give us in the notification of works is enough to identify when the music is used. Once received, we'll send you a letter within 4 weeks acknowledging receipt of the notification of works. This stuff is important because before I go on, I need to let you know that membership is not automatic. You are elected into membership if your music is active enough. We monitor how much music is used before we decide to make you a member. That's also why it's important for you to update your music with us every time you make something new. We are not mind readers, people. Still with me, Lyric? Good. As a reward, here's a picture of a lime green Lamborghini. Maybe you'll get there one day. Okay, so you've completed the boring application forms, so now you can get back to partying, right? Not quite. Applicants whose music is active are elected into membership by the SAMRO board, which sits every 3 months. Depending on whether your music has been broadcast, this process can take up to a year or more. Keep yourself busy. Make more music. Maybe learn a hobby. Maybe take up darts. I don't know. There's also a chance your works could never become active, which means you won't become a member. Cue the sad trombone. That's why it's important for you to get your music out there. Make noise, perform, try to get on radio, whatever you do. Just do what you can to get your music played. But if you are elected into membership, we'll send you a letter to notify you that you're now a fully fledged member of SAMRO. Okay, now you can party. And that's it, Lyric. You made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. Here, have a lollipop. You must be serious about this music stuff. That's what we at SAMRO love to see. We can't wait to receive your application.